Today, we're going to talk about the top reasons that indicate it might be time to bring in an IBD-focused dietitian. And we're bringing up this topic specifically because about every month we get someone who doesn't even make it to the first session because they stop and they want to wait until things get stable. And it is always such a tragedy when I hear that, because that's when people need us the most, is when things are unstable and feel chaotic and they're symptomatic, because that's when we can really step in and one, help your meds work better. Two, work on malnutrition if it's already there. And then three, come up with a game plan for really helping you to feel better overall. So let's dive into the top reasons why you might want to consider. Let's start with number one.
Okay, something to consider is if you are someone who is stressing about what to eat all day, every day, and the list of what you can eat is down to like only a couple foods, which then makes you stress out even more, it might be time to work with a dietitian.
Yes.
Yeah. Even just, I think with the stress part, I don't even think we really stop to think about how much food noise we have, like how many times we're thinking about it or second guessing ourselves or wondering about stuff and then Googling it. And, you go back and forth a lot about all of it. And especially if you have like a family or if you have multiple people you're cooking for, where you're not just considering everyone else's needs, but then you have, your IBD and what you can tolerate and what you feel good with that you have to consider. So all of those things can really add up and it can be a source of stress, like, every time you have to eat, if you're having to think through all those things.
Absolutely. And I feel like one of the number one things that I hear when I talk to my patients after we first discuss, their picture, their story, and then some strategies to help them out with, is that they feel lighter because they have a plan moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? I see that a lot too.
Yeah, that just lowers the stress around food. And it's just so you can see it in people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always kind of cool to see when people say they feel like more confident after, or they're thinking about food less. I can think of, there's one testimonial, I think it's on our website too, where it talks about, we just talked about like, hey, I went out to eat. I go out to eat more often and I feel comfortable. I can order on the menu and I'm not having to worry about it. And I'm just being with the people that I'm with. And there's something really that, some of these fears can really stop you from engaging and interacting and really experiencing the things that are really important. And so that's why that's our number one.
And safety, I feel like in IBD, you often lose that sense of safety in your body. And just having, even, I hear this a lot in session too, if you feel heard, if you feel listened to, and you feel like you can express some of those fears and anxieties and then come up with some sort of game plan to address them, then you bring back some of that safety. And even that alone can reduce symptoms, just to feel that sense of home in your body.
Right. Yeah. You can't underestimate that, the feeling of safety and how much stress can play into our own symptoms.
Yeah.
And then number two is your list of what you can comfortably eat is only a few foods. And by comfortably, I mean your perceived safety, because again, when it comes to food triggers and stuff, there's your inflammatory food patterns that may or may not trigger symptoms. And then there's your symptom triggers, which can be a little different for everybody. And even fear and trauma-based triggers, like we were just talking about, that can drive symptoms. So there is sort of a perception to triggers sometimes that we need to kind of tease apart to really help somebody and help them understand their triggers a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
Number three, Ashley, is I feel like just, one of our specialties when it comes down to nutrient deficiencies. Those are common in IBD and they're not always tested for. And if they're tested, are they being treated in a way that's going to optimize those levels? Maybe, maybe not, but working with a dietitian can also help with that. Because, when we do see low nutrients, like common ones, vitamin D, B12, iron, those are the three biggest ones they feel. And all of those together too may play a role in fatigue. So when we take a look at addressing those, we can help with another symptom that so many people with IBD experience.
good point. I see that a lot in clients too, where either they don't know if they've been tested for, or they just don't know to ask. And unfortunately, we really do have to take a lot of ownership over our own care, and we have to ask those questions. And so it's good to have us, just another player on the team, to help navigate some of those medical conversations.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, and sometimes these things are run for, you might run vitamin D or you might run iron, but, when it was run originally, maybe it wasn't like the biggest item on, your provider's agenda. Maybe you had, a bleed that they were focused on getting, or, you had strictures or surgery. And so it just kind of gets bypassed. But, for us as dietitians, these really are these little key things that can be the things that can sometimes get in the way of people getting into remission, especially if we're not looking at them for somebody over time. Like your vitamin D, sometimes you may run it and it's like in the clear zone, but then, you're talking like 30, just barely 30, or just under the radar, to where we know in IBD that even though if it's in the clear, we want it to be a little bit higher than that for you to really be in a good spot. And then same with your iron. I feel like so often we'll see part of the picture, but we'll be missing the other side. So that's usually the part we're advocating for with our patients. Like, okay, can we get ferritin so we can look at your iron stores? Or it seems like there's iron deficiency, but your limited labs aren't showing it. And sometimes more extensive panels can help.
And that's such a good point about measuring over time. I know I hear that a lot, where it's like, oh, last we checked, it was good. And well, when was that? And
2 years ago, yeah.
That was 2 years ago, and it was good. It was fine. We don't need to do anything. And yeah, taking in real time and measuring over the course of consistent intervals in time is our best bet.
Yeah, and I've heard people say with certain labs, they're like, it always comes back low. It must be wrong, or but it's not. If you have IBD, there's a high likelihood that sometimes things can be low because you're utilizing a lot more, and especially if you have active inflammation. So keep that in mind. All right, number 4, your plan doesn't include strategies to decrease your risk of flare-up overall. So I know with IBD, this is at least how I am. I'm all about the here and now. And if I'm in a flare, I just want to get to the other side. That's all I'm thinking about. But you really need someone on your side to also be looking at how are we going to reduce your risk of flare up, not just calm it down for the month, but really be thinking long term. It really does require that long term strategy. And if you're on something that's more temporary, working with somebody can help you kind of ease your way into a plan that's going to be more effective for the long haul. I'm thinking of, when people get told, go low residue or go low FODMAP, those things are really not meant to be a longer term thing. They're really meant for the here and now. To really reduce your risk, you're going to need to expand your diet a little bit, and you're going to need oftentimes some help or guidance with how to do that effectively.
That's such a good point. We see that all the time, where people are stuck in a particular diet pattern or whatever it looks like, and either don't know that it's not meant to be long term, or just feel like they can never return back to a normal diet or expand it just out of fear. So yeah, that's such a good point.
And to be fair, if you were to Google anything IBD diet on the internet, you're going to see a lot of stuff, even from reputable sources, that's like, oh yeah, take out fiber. But it's just, blogs are just that. They're one limited view, and they're not really showing the larger picture sometimes about what people need and kind of the nuance of it all.
Are we on number 5 now? Number 5.
Yes.
Your IBD nutrition strategy doesn't include tools to reduce symptoms.
That's an important one. It's funny because I feel like often people don't know that we help with that. Do you guys feel that way, or have you experienced that?
From my perspective, it seems like patients don't always know how to connect, or that some of those symptoms are overlapping and connecting with each other. So us getting in there and figuring out, yeah, well, if we have this symptom, talk to me about how it works with this other symptom. Does it worsen, or does it help? Or what are there patterns in the day that maybe can help us connect the dots, so we can really help to hone in on the specifics and bring some like some relief to a lot of those different symptoms. So then we can expand the diet or whatever the case may be, to eventually bring like a sense of like flare reduction over time, but find some relief in the immediate time frame. I feel like that's a lot of what I do anyway. I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, kind of the linear thinking. It's like symptoms should happen like immediately after you have it, and that's how you kind of determine it. But when you work with someone, we can help you see different things outside of just the patterns that you're talking about, like similarities between foods that might be correlation. And it's not always just about what to take out. I think that's the other misconception around that, is that sometimes it's what you add in. Sometimes it's bringing a more diversity that can over time reduce your symptoms the most. So I think that one is a very important one.
Yeah.
All right, you, Danielle, what have you seen with that?
I mean, yeah, no, I agree with both of you. I was just thinking of maybe like an example for our watchers or listeners. Sometimes we can see constipation, believe it or not, in IBD. And sometimes with constipation, some people may experience reflux. Now, those things may be more correlated than one would think, but working with a dietitian can help with working through those things.
Yeah.
Or taking things to the next step if needed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're kind of like looking for. Like, do these line up with each other? What can we do to help decrease the instances of both? And then looking at adding things in to help with that.
And I think energy is another one that when we talk symptoms, one of the big ones is people want to improve their energy. And Danielle, you and I did a really good video not too long ago that broke down top reasons for fatigue. And it broke down like the top reasons for fatigue. And yeah, that's a good video if you want to check it out. But, getting to the core reasons and also core strategies that are going to help you the most, I think is important for your IBD journey.
Yeah. And that's a skill. I think maybe an overlooked skill, but that's something that we have to really work hard to hone in as practitioners. So getting someone, to guide you through that process is really important.
Yeah. All right, Danielle, take the last one.
Okay. Last one, everybody. We think IBD nutrition is only testing foods to see if they trigger you. That one's so common. It's always like, track all your food and what's going on with your food and what happened with your symptoms and all of that. But it doesn't always necessarily have to be that way. We don't always have to track everything we eat and what our poop looked like afterwards.
Everybody does it, I feel like it's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage with IBD. We've all done it. But also ask yourself, how effective was it? And are you down to 5 foods or 5 safe foods?
Yes.
Is it really helping your symptoms long term, or did your symptoms come back?
Yep.
Now, I will say there are instances where I may use that, but maybe not in the way that you may be thinking.
Right.
That's not my first thing that I go to with people, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Same with me. I think it's like a couple months in. If we're getting part of the way, but not all of the way with symptom reduction, then it's like, okay, can you just do 2 days? Can we just see what that looks like?
Mm-hmm.
And it can be so many different things. And I'll even ask for the timing. Like, okay, when is your workout? Do you do your workout first thing in the morning? When do you have your first meal? Is it before the workout or after the work? Is it at 4 p.m.? All of those things play into that, including fasting or not eating enough can play into it. So it's a little bit of puzzle pieces coming together when you work with somebody.
Yeah, we get that a lot where it's like you do the IBD math where you're like, I don't know, I read this on the internet and it said don't do this, and then I had that food and then I did have symptoms, and then now I don't know what's up, what's down. It gets confusing.
Yeah, that's very much the experience.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us grow and it helps us make more videos for you. So, and then if you need help specifically on this, reach out. We have 3 different ways that you can work with us. You can check that out on our website as well as with pricing. All right, take care, everybody.